Welcome to 2 Minutes of Gaming, where we talk about the top video game topics of the month for 2 minutes at a time. I'm your host, Keenan, and today I'm joined by
Justin. How's everybody going? How's everybody doing?
Yeah, okay. Man, so, last show we started out with PlayStation 5. It's only right. We start out with Microsoft, and we start out with the Xbox Series X showcase. In a way, it was kind of just an Xbox showcase because, I think half the games were going to come out for Xbox One. So,
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, Justin, what's your thoughts on it? The same question from last month as well. Did this get you excited for next gen? Is this something that you're saying, I need to have the new Xbox to play these games? What was your thoughts on the showcase, Justin?
Just like how I feel about the PS5 showcase, I'm going to be on my PS4 for a while at this point. I don't really see anything from both teams that's selling me on their next gen consoles. Yeah. I already have enough backlog on my Switch and my PS4. I will have to say Halo, the new Halo game, does look good. It looks fun. But one thing I've noticed, and I brought this up on my social media, is it just me, or is it that, and I think I said this last show too, but the graphics is not much of a leap as I was expecting. Yeah, the lighting and the textures look good, but it's not something that I was like, okay, so where is the real selling point here besides, okay, no loading screens ever from both consoles. Otherwise, I mean, what's 30 seconds to me to load my game? The games, I mean, is nothing, the game-wise that they show is nothing for me to scream, I have to get this system. This is a must. There's nothing from both PS5 or the Xbox One to make me go, Xbox to say go buy it.
Yeah, it's funny. I agree with you, man, on the load times. Load times aren't really an issue anymore. Mm-mm. There are some games, and I'll probably talk about Red Dead at some point, but like Red Dead takes a while to load. There are some games that take a while to load, like really big games, but for the most part, most games are like you're pretty much fine. But I will say I was really impressed. Because believe it or not, Justin, I was more impressed with the Xbox showcase than the PlayStation's because they had more games that I actually was like, oh my god. So for instance, State of Decay 3. Before I knew it was State of Decay 3, I was like, I want that game. You know what I mean? There was a game that I saw. I didn't know what it was, Justin. I said, this game is beautiful. I was just in awe of how good it looked. And it was a game called Everwild. So I'm playing it on the screen now so everyone can see. A game from Rare. Beautiful game. There was also, obviously, they ended with Fable, which I kind of didn't like. But I was like, okay, it's a familiar franchise. But I want to talk 2 seconds about this game called The Medium. It's actually a game about dual realities, which I thought was really interesting, really innovative concept. And it was, believe it or not, Justin, it was a concept that I talked to an indie developer about like 3 years ago. And he was actually like kind of nervous about making the game. And I was like, dude, this is a genius idea. And he gave up on it. So now to see that his idea that this guy had like 3 years ago has taken off into like a huge game now. It just shows you like, hey, just because you're indie doesn't mean you don't have good ideas. But that's for another day. G4 also popped up in the news. Yes, G4 TV is returning. We don't know much about who is returning, what shows are returning. So, Justin, how do you think G4 should return?
Well, I know they're going to probably have to come back either via streaming service or a YouTube channel or something like that, because I don't see cables dying. I don't see anyone really wanting to invest more in cable and streaming, and everybody has a YouTube channel. Seems to be the way to go. Things that I think that should come back, obviously, Cold Monkeys, number one. Love that show. Love Cold Monkeys. Give me another season of that. I wouldn't mind X-Play coming back. Even if it's actually, I want the original. Hosts, Morgan Webb and Adam Cecil, to come back. Not sure about Filter, but I would like to see more news incorporated with gaming, like just kind of how it was in the first early years when it was really nothing but catering to the hardcore gamer until they got bought out and they start running Cops and all this other shows that didn't belong on G4 TV.
Yeah, G4, when they said it's returning, I was thinking to myself, like, which G4? Like, G4 has so many phases. I remember, if you look at like I forget when they started, but I remember in like 2000, 2001, it was like just tech stuff, right? And then
Yeah.
it slowly went over to like 2002, 2003 was like 24-hour video games. It was great. And then like it got like Attack of the Show came later, and then all the shows started dropping off, and it was only Attack of the Show, and then they, it was just garbage at that point. But I don't think all of the same people should come back for the same shows. X-Play is great. I think bringing back Morgan Webb and it was Adam. I think his name was
Adam Sessler.
Yeah, Adam Sessler. Great. Those two are great. Attack of the Show can go away. That show was trash. But
Icons
huh?
Icons, where they showed you the developers.
Yeah, that was a good show. They had a lot of great shows. I think they should not only try to bring back some of the old shows, but I think that they have to embrace the YouTubers, because while G4 has been gone, the YouTubers and the YouTube shows, where this is like a show on YouTube, has carried the video game market as far as shows and content and streaming, has carried the way for the last 10 years, Justin, you can argue. So we have been carrying it. We talked off air about Xavier Woods. People like that have been carrying it. So it's only right that they get on G4 TV. Again, if it's just another YouTube channel, that doesn't mean much. Actually, Justin, I want them to be a cable channel, because I just think it's ridiculous that this is $1 billion industry and we don't have one channel on cable. But that's another story. $70 next gen games. NBA 2K21 came out and said, sorry everyone, but the next gen version is going to be $70. We have yet to hear another publisher come out and speak about their price. But Justin, do you think that the next gen games should be $70? And what's your thoughts on 2K making that move?
Well, I'm going to be the devil's advocate. I know gamers are like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. It's business. High production value, you have to get high returns. You have to make your money back that you invest. It's called a business, people. $70 okay, so it's $10 more plus taxes if you live in New York. So you're looking probably around $75, $73. So $75 per game. Yeah, it's a lot, but I mean, you're already paying $65. And the more the technology advances, the more we're going to have to pay more for our games, which means, obviously, for us average Joes who aren't rich, we're going to have to be super careful these days of what games we buy. So for me, I welcome it, because that means I'm not going to have as a backlog as I did with the previous incarnations of games, of systems. So for me, I know from a business standpoint, it has to be done. I'll just be very selective with the games I buy.
Justin, again, we're probably going to get a lot of hate comments for the first time in a while. But I agree with you, Justin. I really do feel like it's about time. So games have been $60 for so long, but the only thing I'll say is I don't think NBA 2K21 is the game that should have been $70, because they make so much money from microtransactions. Justin, you got to think the average person buys NBA 2K for $60, and then they spend on average, at least $10, right? I'm being modest, because people spend more than $10 on microtransactions. So you're getting $70 from everybody anyway if you're 2K. So we'll see what happens with that. And then also, too, the NBA season is not starting, the next season, I'm saying, until December. But the game is coming out in September with no updated rosters, because the current season, thanks to COVID, is still going on. So I just think NBA 2K, it is a bad move for them to do it. But I will say a game like Uncharted, some of the single player, high development cost game, those games should be $70. But hey, people, for everyone bitching, it's gonna be on, every game goes on sale like 3 months later. So just wait. If you don't want to pay $7, just wait. It'll be at $35 before you know it. Resident Evil 3, but Mixer. Microsoft, I don't know how many years ago was that? 2 years? They came out with Mixer.
Yeah, I think 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a Twitch killer. I believe they even had Xbox integration. Honestly, Justin, I thought it was going to be a success. It was lining up to be super successful. They even gave Ninja, probably the most famous streamer, $20 to $30 million allegedly. Nobody knows the details, exact amount, but around that number. Justin, what's your thoughts on Mixer and just in general streaming services?
Oh, you mean like the streamers, the game streamers?
Yeah, what's your thoughts on it closing down? Do you think it was should it
Um,
close?
I mean, they didn't have or when you're challenging a juggernaut such as Twitch, it's going to be you have to have all your guns, and they did take one of their big guns, but Twitch is like it's like its own machine now. It's like the WWE. Just because you lose one star, there's plenty of other Twitch streamers just waiting in the wing to blow up. And I mean, they lost Ninja, but they still had Dr. Disrespect. So they had all these other streamers just lined up waiting to take the crown away from Ninja. Anyway, Mixer had they had Ninja, they had AJ Styles on there. They had a couple of heavy hitters, but it still wasn't generating. And from what I understand, they folded and Facebook purchased Mixer now. So now it's like Facebook Gaming and stuff like that, from what I understand. But, you have to have a plan when you go after the juggernauts like that. You could have just stayed in your own lane, but they wanted to go for the kill, and they got killed.
Yeah, they got killed. I think Justin says more about, not really says, because Mixer did everything right. Yeah. If you have to start a service, they're checking all the boxes, right? For the most part. I just think that we're going to talk more about at some point esports, probably next episode, and the streaming. I don't think that those two industries are as easily lucrative as people think. I think there are people like Ninjas and like some of the people that you mentioned. I think even the rapper Logic now has a streaming deal. Good for him. So I think there are some people who can hit out the park. But I don't think that streaming or esports are the end all be all like people are thinking are the future, like people are thinking. And I think this has proved it. So
a lot of it's on luck.
Yeah. Speaking of not luck but skill, WB Games, they are, for those who don't know, are owned by Warner Media. Warner Media is owned by AT&T. A huge monster. They're kind of being like Disney, where they're kind of done with video games, rumor has it. So word on the street is that they want to get rid of WB Games, despite their success and amazing sales and amazing games. What's your thoughts on this, Justin? And there's some rumors that Microsoft may buy them. Take-Two, who should buy them? And what's your thoughts on the sell?
If there's any company, it's more easier to tell you who I don't want to buy. EA, Take-Two.
I agree.
I would not mind Microsoft getting it, honestly. They don't seem to be a studio that buys studios and shuts them down immediately. They seem to give people a chance at least, and if they don't do the numbers, like any business, depending on how much they spent on the project, they will probably redirect the development team to other projects and other games and close that studio down, but the developers still keep their jobs. But that's for what I've seen. But I would have to say, if I have to choose Microsoft, Sony already has a Insomniac, which is Spider-Man. So everybody's like, oh, so that means that Microsoft is going to have DC and Sony's going to have Marvel games? No, because Avengers is coming out for all systems. Sony just has Spider-Man. So I just want to get that cleared up for people. But honestly, I would like to see these guys go independent and just find a publisher who will just publish their games, not own them. They create the games and they have like a distribution deal. I like to see them have their own creative freedoms.
I think that independent is a great move. But Justin, if I'm Microsoft, I'm not getting any sleep tonight or tomorrow or the next day because I need to buy them. Okay, Justin, we're talking about Mortal Kombat. We're talking about Traveler's Tales, which, all of the Lego games. We're talking about Rocksteady. Dude, we're talking about some talented people. Now, a lot of people online are saying, well, Keenan, those games, a lot of those games that they make are games that they have to license, Batman, etc. They're not selling Batman. They're just selling the Batman developers, right? Mm-hmm. But I think that if you can strike a deal with WB Games and say, listen, we need some kind of exclusive content from you guys for a certain amount of time. But even if they don't say that, Justin, you're looking at amazing developers. These are some of the best developers in the industry. even without a license, Justin, these developers can make a hit. So if you're Microsoft, whatever it costs, get them. Last round, freestyle. So for those who don't know, new to the show, last round we leave it open and we can kind of just talk about whatever's on our mind, and you know whatever's going on. So Justin, you can start us off.
Stop playing Animal Crossing.
Oh God.
I knew it was eventually gonna happen. I got bored, and all my friends who visit the island, they all got bored. Everybody texted me like, I was like, "You guys still playing Animal Crossing?" Nah. I'll probably go back in the fall, and I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wait till the fall season and see what happens. But yeah, I deleted it from my Switch like right now for now, and I'm just like, I purchased Skyrim randomly because it was on sale and always wanted to play Skyrim, so I was like, okay, I'm trying that out. Finally going to get Resident Evil 3 next week, so I'm excited about that and continue my Resident Evil plays. But believe it or not, I've just been switching it, and I've been playing Super Nintendo on the Switch. Just almost done with Super Mario World, playing Donkey Kong. Been doing a lot of more retro gaming.
Nice, thanks. I want to take my I guess you can say like minute or whatever to talk about Joe Rogan, who I actually like a lot. I listen to his podcast. He went on his not most recent, but the one before that, the second most recent podcast, and said, and I quote, "Video games are a waste of time." Basically, he was saying that if you were to take your time and invest it into karate, you can take that and you can win black belts. You can take that and you can, win a tournament and even open up a school at some point. Whereas if you sat and played Fortnite all day, which people do, you won't have anything to show, pretty much. Now, let me just say this. I've heard, not just from Joe Rogan, I've heard this argument from coworkers. One of those coworkers actually might be watching the show right now. And I'm going to tell you what I told him. Your hobbies are not better than mine. Mm-hmm. Let's be clear. If little Susie, right, is playing Animal Crossing, this 7-year-old girl, right, and then Jane, her mom, is reading a fictional book about a stupid love story, right? She's reading her book for 3 hours about a love story, right? But not even a real story. She's telling Susie, "You're playing video games too long." Because for some reason, people think that watching Netflix, binging Netflix for 7 hours makes you better than playing video games for 7 hours. But I got news for you. It's actually the opposite way around. Your brain is turned off watching TV for 7 hours, not doing anything. Reading a book is a little bit better, a little bit higher, right? Because you have to imagine what you're reading, etc. Reading words, etc. But video games actually is another level, even higher. Because not only are you reading, you're interacting, you're socializing, you're problem solving. Justin, it's so funny. Every time I go to a new job, and Justin, you talked about this a little bit off air. These people treat you like you're dumb. Like, this is how you use the system. Make sure you save this and you press this. You have to exit. Every video gamer I know at a new job picks it up like this. Every time I'm in a meeting, a training, and all the gamers are like this. Because we get systems, we get computers, we get this stuff more than the people who actually know it. And that's because of video games. So again, that being said, let me just recap this. If you feel like video games waste time, you're right. It can be, okay? It can be. But guess what? Any hobby can be a waste of time. I can go on and on, Justin.
It's how you use it. And I just want to throw my little quick 2 cents. First of all, it's how you use it. And I love the analogy that you use with Netflix. And because anyone could, so Netflix is more productive than solving a puzzle or, playing a game. Games have puzzles. Games have obstacles. What obstacle am I doing watching Netflix all day?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and for anyone who's just knocking somebody's hobby, dude, come on. Let people live, first of all. I mean, not everybody is going to be in the fit, active lifestyle. Not everybody's going to take, what he said, karate. Not everybody has those aspirations, and all due respect to him, but who are you to knock someone else for their aspirations? No one's knocking you, saying, hey, you did Fear Factor and all this other stuff. I mean, it's just, at the end of the day, silly comment by him, but that's his opinion. And you know what they say about opinions. Everybody has one. So, disagree to agree. Disagree with him. But.
Totally. All right. Well, that's it. Before we go, Justin, any other last words?
Actually, you can follow me on Instagram at Gaius Universe. And stay tuned. I'm going to have a new website soon called Imaginative Visions, which is going to be showcasing all of my work. So.
Love it. I can't wait for that, but we'll go into that off air. All right, y'all. Thank you again for Justin. Wait, before we go, show them your shirt.
Oh yes, my website, of course, Otakus and Geeks. The shirt, have it. So you can go to otakusandgeeks.com. We review movies, anime, covering toys, conventions, interviews. So stay tuned to that as well.
Love it. All right, y'all. Thank you. I really appreciate everyone listening. Until next month. Peace.
3 days.